I found myself saying to myself, I'm damaged goods now. I'm just damaged goods. One day I kind of woke up and I said, well, wait a minute. I know a lot of women whose marriages have ended and I don't view them as damaged goods. Why am I viewing myself as damaged goods? And I said to myself, I am going to take every inch of what I learned in my Master of Applied Positive Psychology, thank you very much, program, and I'm going to use it on myself.
Welcome to another episode of Women Investing in Women. Robin and I take great joy and pleasure every week to feature different women to talk about different aspects of how we are dealing with life, how we can lift each other up, and how we can be lifted by each other. Today, we're going to do something very different. Today, Robin and I are going to have a conversation about a program Robin is exceptionally passionate about. And just in a moment, she's going to come and talk about what the program is. And our goal is to make sure that women going through changes in life feel supported. Keep that little teaser in your mind as Robin joins us and shares with us what this program is and why you need to be a part of it. Robin, I am thrilled to have this conversation with you. It's just us. So as we kick this off, can you please share with us what is the name of the program and what is your plan in terms of the goals and accomplishments for the women attending it?
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And it just popped into my head that of course, if we are the ones who are creating this podcast, Women Investing in Women, each one of us are doing things to invest in women. And this particular workshop I created is called a well-being workshop for women whose long-term marriages have ended. And this evolved because I found myself actually 4 years ago in May of 2024 with my now former husband ending our marriage. And I explained this when I do my workshop, but I was just in the process of completing my Master of Applied Positive Psychology program from the University of Pennsylvania. This was in May of 2020. And so, of course, the whole world was shut down. And we had the graduation, and then during the summer, we weren't actually officially graduated. We needed to finish our capstone. And through that summer, as I was madly writing away and then working and doing everything else in life, but obviously everything remotely, I found myself saying to myself, I'm damaged goods now. I'm just damaged goods. And one day I kind of woke up and I said, well, wait a minute. I know a lot of women whose marriages have ended and I don't view them as damaged goods. Why am I viewing myself as damaged goods? And I said to myself, I am going to take every inch of what I learned in my Master of Applied Positive Psychology, thank you very much, program, and I'm going to use it on myself. And I started doing that. All of these principles, these practices that I had spent learning, I began applying them to myself. How do I talk to myself? What goes on between my ears? And what are some overt actions that I can take to manage how I feel and how I deal with the world in this new circumstance of my life? And what is my reaction going to be to this circumstance? Well, fast forward about a year and a half, and I was at a women's retreat, and it happened to be the weekend of my 65th birthday. And so I brought, like, with permission with the retreat leaders, I brought balloons, I brought a birthday cake, and I was tied a t-shirt. I made t-shirts, 65, living awesome, 65 years of being awesome. And and I distinctly remember we were in a big circle, sharing, during this women's retreat. And I can't remember what the context was, but all of a sudden I said to the group, you know what? I am freaking awesome. And if you can't see that, then just get off on the next corner. And, and so, how did I go from I'm damaged goods to I'm freaking awesome? And I realized, in looking over that journey, that I had something to share with women. And so I created this workshop called, I'd already created a workshop, Women Creating Well-Being, as part of my program. And I took many of the components of that and then added additional components. How do we gracefully deal with our emotions, and many, many, many emotions obviously coming up when your marriage has ended, whether it be through someone ending the marriage or your spouse has died. Those are two very completely different circumstances. However, there are principles of dealing with life that are overlapping. What was interesting is that same summer, where my marriage had ended, I learned of two or three other friends my age and maybe a little younger whose long-term marriages had also ended. Mine was 34 years, others 30 years, 20 years. And it really struck me that this is a thing. Obviously, I'm not isolated in this. This is a thing. And so I created this workshop, and I very specifically and overtly launched it. I thought it'd be a good idea to do it on a Thursday, because Thursday is kind of the end, toward the end of the week. You can take some time off work. You can take some time to do something for yourself. So I began looking through my calendars. Okay, when is the Thursday when I can do this? I'm flipping through my calendar and landed on October 12th. And this was in 2022, which was my anniversary. It would have been my anniversary. And it's like the heavens parted. And okay, yes, that is the date that I'm launching this workshop. So I had that first workshop, did it live in the morning, did it over Zoom in the morning, did it live in the afternoon, then did it again in December, and now I'm doing it again. And interestingly enough, I thought, let's try it on a Saturday. We'll do it on a Saturday. It might be an easier day for people, to take some half days, a half day workshop. And so I'm looking at the calendar, and this year, October 12th lands on Saturday. So I'm actually doing it again on my anniversary this year, October 12th, 2024. It goes from 9:00 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. Pacific time. And so that's when we'll be doing it. So I'm, telling people about it, and there you can register for it. So that's what it is.
I am inspired by how you are taking something that could crumble a woman in a long-term marriage and turn that into something positive. Because whether we want it or not, everything in life comes to an end, right? As you already know, my husband is terminally ill. It's not a divorce, but the loss is the same. I'm watching him slowly deteriorate and pass away piece by piece. And that is grieving, that is prolonged grieving. So however a marriage ends, it ends at some point or the other. And so having this becomes an important support system for women. And you're also doing this in a way that you're not only supporting women in the United States or in the Western world to go through this. This time around, you're doing something special in pairing that with an opportunity to give a woman in Belize a free scholarship so that you can come to Belize, where I am half the year, and do this workshop with me in my Belizean community. Talk to us a little bit about that and the importance of pairing and sharing in societies where there are possibilities and in societies where there is absolutely no hope for women.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you and I have talked quite a bit about me coming and doing my Women Creating Well-Being. Women Creating Well-Being, Confidence, Capacity, Courage, where we talk about resilience. We talk about what are our strengths and how do we discover our strengths and how do we learn about the science of behavior change. How can we change our behavior to help our lives be better? And when you were telling me some of the stories of the women in Belize, an absolutely beautiful country and absolutely beautiful women, I was enraged. I was enraged. And I said, I want to come and share my workshop, Women Creating Well-Being, with the women in Belize, and give them some hope and give them some skills, give them some tools to help their lives be better. And so it occurred to me that how about pairing these two workshops where the women here in the United States, where we have almost most of us have the funds to come to a workshop, and it's very, very reasonably priced, and use that as, for every woman who registers for my marriage, long-term marriages have ended workshop, I will donate a scholarship for a woman, a low-income woman in Belize, to attend the Women Creating Well-Being workshop that I will do in January of 2025. So I'm going to be coming to Belize in the end of January 2025 and doing a half-day workshop there. And so the women who come to this workshop, it will contribute toward that. So I'm really excited about it.
I am too, Robin. This is going to be a fabulous opportunity for us to connect women and show the women that it doesn't matter where you live. Our situations and our challenges and our journeys are interconnected, they're relatable, and therefore we can and should support one another. So as we look at this program you're offering, what do you want the women to come in terms of mindset with? And then what do you want them to take away from your program?
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to take off from, you made a comment, where we have something that's broken, how do we respond? In my master's program, we learned about this ancient Japanese art form called Kintsugi, Kintsugi. And that is an ancient Japanese art form where they take broken pottery and they put the pieces back together, they kind of glue it back together, but they use liquid gold or liquid silver. And they don't try to hide the crack, but they use the gold or the silver to highlight the crack and put it back together so the cracks become part of the beauty of this pottery. And also helps strengthen the pottery. So that is actually the subtitle of my workshop, is Kintsugi Your Life. It was actually the original title was Kintsugi Your Life. But then I discovered that no one knows what Kintsugi is. They're like, what's, they had no idea what I was talking about. And so I just went back to, or rather I decided to use instead just kind of a plain title, a well-being workshop for women whose long-term marriages have ended. Is very clear what it is. And then the subtitle is Kintsugi Your Life. So we can take these broken pieces of our life and we put them back together, and our life becomes a, a piece of, it becomes an element of strength and beauty and usefulness. And that's really what I want women to come away with. And we're learning very, very practical. Everything that I teach is science backed and evidence based. So there's science behind what we're doing. It's been researched. It's been, tested on people. We know that it works. It's not just, some idea that I'm just kind of have thought up and, oh, I think I'll do this. This is rooted in my master's degree, plus rooted in principles from 12-step programs. I've been part of Al-Anon for decades, and just other resources that are highly well researched. And women are going to come away with the mental skills and the very overt strategies to go from I'm damaged goods to I'm freaking awesome. And that's what I want.
I love the I'm freaking awesome part. And a part of me says even married women need it, only because and I know as married women, you're constantly doing everything for everybody in your life. We do not, as women, prioritize ourselves. By the time we get to us, we're exhausted. We'll say, okay, let me worry about it tomorrow, right? And so throughout that entire marriage, I'm freaking awesome was there before we got married. And then it deteriorates during the marriage. To find that back at the end of the marriage is one thing. I am curious to see if you ever have ideas about doing this for married women so that they stop the breaking during the marriage, because one way or the other, whether it's a divorce or a death, something is going to end a marriage, because we know from reality of life, whatever has a beginning has an end. There is no getting around it. Just curious if you would ever do a program for married women in terms of how to build resiliency for when the eventuality happens.
Yes, absolutely. Well, my women creating well-being, that is for anyone. That's for anyone and everyone. And what I've also taken to doing is doing kind of what I call a mini workshop, or kind of a slice of the pie. So I'm realizing that to take a half day off of your life is like really a big deal. And so what I've now taken to doing is doing smaller 1 hour workshops where we take one slice of the pie. Earlier this year, I did as part of well-being or mental health month, I did a discussion about anger. And I talked about my journey through having volcanic anger, to where in fact, it was titled From Volcanoes to Placid Waters, because I used to be a volcano decades ago. And now I'm placid waters most of the time. And then during another month, I did a workshop on the neuroscience, anxiety, abundance, and the neuroscience of hope. And they've done all kinds of brain research that's really fairly new. This research just came out just maybe a year or two ago. Fairly new research that hope is not just this ethereal, abstract concept that we feel in our hearts or in our souls. It is something going on in your brain. It is something going on chemically inside of your brain. And so I was really excited to learn about that. And so I do these half-a-day workshops, women creating well-being, confidence, capacity, courage. And then I also do slices of the pie. So I just let people, when it comes up, then I let people know about them, and people can join in.
Fantastic. And October 12th is just around the corner. So do you want to take a moment and share with our audience how they can register for this program? And then when we release this episode, I will make sure that the registration link is included.
Absolutely. You can go to my website, robinlearningsystems.com/workshop. Hold on just a second. Let me double check if that's workshop or workshops. Hold on. I'm going to look that up right now. I looked it up before we started here, but let me look it up again. Workshops, plural. So robinlearningsystems.com/workshops. And there, right at the top, will be a button where you can click on that and it'll go to the landing page, and then go to the registration page where you can learn more about this. And so this is how I've created it now, because I was told after the first time that this is kind of a tender thing for women, and no matter how long ago it was, and you can feel kind of vulnerable coming to something like this by yourself, especially for women who don't know me from Adam or don't know me from Eve. And so it is structured, register, and you can bring a friend for free. And every registration provides a full scholarship to a woman in Belize to attend the Women Creating Wellbeing workshop in January 2025. So it's not just two for the price of one, it's three for the price of one.
I absolutely love how you're structuring this, how thoughtful and mindful you're being, and the fact that you truly are looking at this from the perspective of when we empower women and remove their brokenness and make them feel whole, they're going to bring that wholeness and continue to positively impact everything around them, but live a fulfilling life. Women are naturally natured to take all their broken pieces together and still keep giving everybody, right? And how do we take that and make the person whole for themselves? That in itself is a beautiful thing. It's always sad that we learn this by going through our own broken journeys, but coming out of it also behooves us to give something back. So, what have you learned about yourself, Robin? In closing, I want you to talk about what have you learned about yourself coming out of this for yourself and doing this, because you are not the same person who entered the marriage or who left the marriage as you come out of this, kitsuing yourself and becoming whole.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's obviously that you can go through hard things and you don't have to become bitter and vengeful. I have absolutely no patience for women who just badmouth their spouses, their former spouse. You'll also notice I don't use the word ex. I just feel that's very crass and just rough. And so I refer to my former spouse as my former husband, or just use his name. But I just have no patience for women who badmouth their former spouse, especially badmouth him to their children and turn their children against them. I say, if the guy's a jackass, don't you think that the kids see that? You don't need to tell them. They already see it. And by you doing, bad mouthing, all that does is make them be defensive for him. So at any rate, how can we move forward without becoming embittered? How can we do things that are worthwhile and good? And a thought popped in my head. I want to share this, is really important. The roots of this actually go back many years. I was at a 2-week training up in Canada in the summer of 2018. And it was a small training, only about 40 people there. Most of them were women, maybe 2/3 of them were women. And these are just really sharp gals. In fact, some of these gals have been on this podcast, guests on our podcast, just really sharp gals. And there was some exercise we had to go through where we had to get up on this small stage and just share some thoughts. I can't remember what the context was, but I was completely stunned because to a person, every one of the women who was in my group here, every one of them got up on the stage and they were saying derogatory things about themselves. They were kind of downer on themselves. And I was blown away because I had known these women, for 2 weeks or close to 2 weeks. And they're just sharp gals, accomplished, capable. I was stunned to hear it. And I was stunned to know that that is exactly what I said to myself. So when it was my turn to get up on the stage, I got up and I said, we are no longer allowed to talk to ourselves like this. We are no longer allowed to denigrate ourselves between our ears. It is no longer allowed. We will only speak well to ourselves. And if we have made a mistake, we mess up, fine, we acknowledge it and we do what we can to correct that. But this incessant denigrating is like a little rat gnawing at the back of your brain. It's just not allowed anymore. So threads of that experience absolutely found their way into, creating this well-being workshop for women whose long-term marriages have ended, and the Women Creating Well-Being, Confidence, Capacity, Courage workshop as well. So
Thank you so much, Robin. I am so proud of all the work you do. I am so honored to be co-hosting and taking this journey with you. And I'm always delighted. We met as professional colleagues, but over the years, we've become friends. And for women, our girlfriends, our sisterhood is a very, very important element. Our well-being is directly and highly correlated to the strength and the support system our sisterhood brings. So thank you for being that support system for me as I am dealing with my own journey. It is not what Mike or I wanted, but it is what the universe serves up. So we just have to navigate it. And as we navigate it, how do we remain whole? How do we hold our love for each other and yet learn to let go? And that is the key.
And there's one more thing. This is very important that I forgot to add in. For this audience, the Women Investing in Women audience, I have created a special code called HOPE, HOPE, all capital letters, HOPE. And that discount code will get you a 50% discount, because I truly believe in supporting the women who are listening to this podcast, who are part of our Women Investing in Women audience and family and sisterhood. And so for you women, use the discount code HOPE, HOPE, and that will give you a 50% discount.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for everything you do, Robin. I am super excited for this, for the impact you're creating. And let's get as many women engaged in this as possible, because by healing one another and building our sisterhood is the only way we are going to build a very supported and deeply meaningful life for ourselves.